Taking in orphans is such a kindly act, or so it seems. In 1960, Edward Paisnel began assaulting victims on the Channel Island of Jersey. Stopping short of murder, he would attack women and children dressed in a long black overcoat and wearing a rubber handmade mask. His wife was the founder of a community home where he found most of his victims. They would be carefully selected and abducted to a nearby field where he would molest them. Police said that Paisnel had constructed a shrine to Satan in his barn. It is believed he would sacrifice small animals to prepare himself for a night of work. In 1971, Paisnel was finally caught and sentenced to 30 years in prison for 13 counts of rape, assault, and sodomy. He died in 1994. Losing a loved one can be hard, but some take their grief to the next level. Karl Tanzler was a German immigrant. During his childhood, he had visions of his one true love. Despite getting married and having 2 children with a woman who looked nothing like this vision, he always kept his true love's face close to his heart. In 1930, while working as a radiologist in Florida, he believed he finally found her. He left his wife and children to pursue a relationship with Elena Milagro. Unfortunately, she was suffering from tuberculosis and died a year later. Grief-stricken, Tanzler paid for her funeral and visited her mausoleum almost daily. He was obsessed with Maria, and knowing he would not be able to live without her, he decided not to. In the dead of night in 1933, he stole her body from the mausoleum and took it home using a child's red wagon. He put her skeleton back together using coat hangers, stuffed her with rags, and made her a wig using her own hair. She was dressed and put in his bed. Following rumors of the desecration of her body, police found her in Tanzler's home. 7 years later. Her body was covered in clothes and her face was the death mask of her former self created by Tanzler. Unbelievably, the statute of limitations had expired, and Tanzler's case was dismissed out of court. He never faced trial or sentencing. Maria's body was taken to a funeral home, where death tourists could view her before it was buried in an unmarked grave so that she could finally rest in peace. In 2012, after watching the horror movie Saw, Fabian Kramer, being just a teenager at the time, had become obsessed with murder. He wore a terrifying mask as he killed his landlady, 82-year-old Hannah Litz. He stabbed her over 50 times in her apartment. He called police after the killing with a story about finding her body. When police arrived, Kramer was kneeling by the side of the victim pretending to be attempting to save her life. He told them he was an ambulance man and he was doing his best to save her. However, all of the blood splatter on him told a different story. He denied murder up until the end, and his lawyer pleaded for him to go free, but judges said he was a clear menace to society. He was sentenced to 10 years behind bars.